Hey, everybody. We all have our favorite movies, our favorite experiences. And today we are joined by former execs in the industry, we'll call it that, who might have been part of a few small films or movies that you might know. So, as I'm fangirling over here, sorry, I just thought I had to get. Um, I want to introduce you to a power set, two sisters who know the industry, who have interviewed themselves over 1,600 celebrities in their own right. Amy, Nancy Harrington, how are you? Thanks for joining us.
Thanks so much for having us. We're excited to be here.
Best intro ever. No one's ever.
Thank you. It was like little Superman of it. Like I was like, what? Happily. I'm so glad you're both here. You guys have such a great energy. You are former execs of these major industry, groups, and we know there's a lot of things moving on in the industry right now. But you guys have left those positions not too long ago, and now you're actually community builders. And you are sparking the dreams of the people around you with this new community you created. Do you guys want to tell your origin story?
It's a long and windy road.
Go
For
ahead.
anyone who hasn't figured it out yet, we're sisters. We were born in Boston and grew up in an incredibly creative family. Our parents met in art school, so we were always encouraged to follow our passions and be creative. Amy left the nest first and flew out to Los Angeles. And as you say, worked her way up in the entertainment industry. She became the first woman in the history of the motion picture studios in the United States to have the title of Vice President of Post-Production on Visual Effects.
Yes.
So,
yes.
Just a little milestone. And worked on movies like, as you have so subtly hinted at, Harry Potter and The Matrixes and all sorts of incredible films. Meanwhile, I was still back in Boston. I had my own graphic design business. My husband and I had a theater company in Boston's theater district. And Amy, after 10 years, finally wore me down, and we moved to Los Angeles. And I got a job at an advertising agency creating Academy Award campaigns for Miramax. So at the height of the Miramax studios.
Amazing.
I like to say I helped Harvey Weinstein win his Academy Award for Chicago.
Well, it's a job.
Fortunately, I never had to have direct contact. So we had very amazing jobs, and we loved our jobs. It was so glamorous and fun, and we were ready for a new adventure. We did not know what that was, but we knew we wanted to do it together.
Amazing.
Because we wanted to finally work with somebody who we knew we could trust 100%. So we set off on an adventure and did all sorts of weird, crazy jobs for a while, and finally landed in the world of celebrity interviewing. And we still conduct celebrity interviews on occasion. And we've done, as you said in your intro, we've done about 1,600 interviews through the years for clients like the Television Academy, so the people who do the Emmys. We've done the red carpet at the Emmys. We did them for 10 years in a row. And we do archival interviews for them. So they're like 4-hour interviews with celebrities and people behind the camera.
Talk about an endurance sport. There you go. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds crazy. It's exhausting.
Yeah. And we also worked for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So we produced interviews with Mick Jagger and Ann Wilson from Heart. And, what made it especially fun was doing it together. As little girls, we watched these people on TV and, went to their concerts, and here we are sitting across from them. But then in 2016, the Me Too movement was at its height.
Yes.
And we really thought we'd like to do something more impactful. And we decided we wanted to do something to help women. So we launched a podcast. It was like just a little side project. We were going to do a podcast. And instead of interviewing celebrities who get all the notoriety, we were going to interview everyday women that were doing amazing things and that people should hear about. And so we started that did our first interview in 2017, launched the podcast in 2018. And we have done over 200 episodes at this point. And that led to us doing our women's summit every year, which is called the Power Passionistas. And in that, we bring together women from marginalized communities to talk about a topic that impacts each of them. And it's a storyteller event. So they tell a very personal story related to that topic. And then we do a roundtable with them. So it's really, really powerful because stories are so personal and the roundtables are just mind blowing. So we had these great conversations, and then the 3 days would be over, and then it was like, okay, well, now what?
Okay, just change the world. What do I do with my hands?
Yeah. But we wanted to keep the conversation going, and so in March of 2024, we launched our online sisterhood. So we have created a community that brings together women from all sorts of communities to share their stories with each other and with us. We focus on business development, personal growth, and social impact. So it's really a beautiful space where women care about giving back and being better and making the world better. So that's kind of our long and windy story in a very big nutshell.
Just building community. I mean, like, you took all of your skills, your storytelling skills, because this is what you do well.
Yeah.
And I was like, and you put this in a place where people could actually create their own platforms, tell their own stories, and impact the world even further. Because we all have a story. We all have a story that we can share. And I'm sure this comes from a deeper place from both of you too, even though you sort of have the same origin story. You're like Marvel heroes 2.0. Like, what was it about storytelling growing up that was like part of your fabric?
God, it was everything. I mean, our first of all, our dad was quite a storyteller and always happy to have any kind of captive audience, which may be why they had 5 kids. Never really, never really made that more.
Yeah,
right now. Oh, built-in audience. But we also, I mean, there were 5 of us kids, and our mother read 4 newspapers a day because she'd get the morning editions of the local paper and the Boston Globe.
Yeah.
She would read a book every day or two, like a mystery book. She taught herself the Evelyn Wood speed reading method.
Okay. Yeah.
While the TV was on all day, 24 hours a day. Well, not then, 18 hours a day. The American flag would come on at the end of the night, and the TV would.
Where your children is. No, that's my generation. Never mind. Yep.
But so TV always on. Everybody always, reading and, books and magazines. The stereo, the stereo next to the TV. There was one at the top of the stairs. Stereos always on, same time as the TV. Dad would come home from work, start singing in the middle of the living room, songs from musicals, Anthony Newley impression. Yeah. Our oldest sister, and then always movies. We'd go to movies all the time. Like, I know people who are like, oh, I never went to movies when I was a kid. It was like, oh my God, we went to movies all the time. We painted, we, did art constantly. There were always art supplies because our dad was a graphic designer. So he had like really expensive stuff for his work that he would let us color with,
Yeah.
So there was always storytelling through art and through music. Our oldest sister became an multiple Emmy-winning, Grammy-nominated documentary filmmaker.
Oh,
our other sister became a dancer.
No big deal.
Turned into a crochet artist. Wow. Our brother was a rock and roll musician who opened for, David Bowie and the Ramones and the Clash, and then went become a bankruptcy attorney who had a case that made it all the way up to the Supreme Court and stood before Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
Yay! Yeah.
There's me and Nancy, who are kind of the,
the black sheep. Oh my God! Well, I wonder what they're doing.
It's been everything. I mean, there's never been a day of our existence without storytelling. And
I'm also checklisting in the back of my mind, like for my own daughters, I was like, I need more art supplies. I mean, it's amazing, right? Because there is that whole creation versus consumption, right? You're like, how much are you letting them explore? How much are you just giving them information? That's a really big thing. Wow.
Right.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that because even though we were watching TV, we were playing with each other. We were always engaged with each other. We were really close, and we still are. But we were always doing something. Like we were
Funny.
always painting or drawing or doing homework, whatever it was. Like it was very rare that we just sat in front of the TV and zoned out and didn't have some other engaging activity that was happening.
Mhm.
About that.
I think I realized that the podcast for me was, as a kid, like every opportunity, whether it was like shower time, I could be selling commercials of my shampoo. Like I have no idea where this came from, but my sisters will attest that this is just something we did for fun. So I love how creative you guys are. Like just finding your voice, finding and this what a wonderful household to grow up in with that.
It's so
Amazing.
funny. Can I just say quickly, it's so funny you said that about the bathtub because I was just thinking, literally just thinking 2 days ago, when we were little, Nancy and I were
Yes.
with the youngest, so we took baths together, and
Yeah.
we would do typewriter.
Yes. Yep.
Ding.
Uh,
And then we would draw letters on each other's backs, like, "What letter? Oh, it's
Yes.
A."
Right?
You know, like, and all, like, even in the bath when you're supposed to just, like,
yeah.
you stop for a minute, we were like,
Yeah.
"La, la, la, la."
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we could
I just
diagnose
fl I
ourselves all
just
day.
flashed
Go ahead.
back to a moment in, like, it was probably 2nd or 3rd grade where I took a short story that I liked and I made it into a play, and I
Yes.
gathered all the girls in my class and gave them each parts and rehearsed it in my best friend's basement, and then we went to school and put it on. Like, it's just we've always been, like, creating. It's just
I
That's
yeah.
love the
huge, and
show.
I think it's so necessary now. Are you seeing those common threads with the community you're building now? Are you seeing women who are like, "This has always been me, and now I'm just letting it out"? Like
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. They're definitely creative women. And even if you're creating, Amy loves to say this, even if you're creating a spreadsheet, right? You're still creating.
Yes.
You know, these women are all entrepreneurs and artists and activists and people who really have something to say and are trying in any way they can to say it. You know, and it's really an incredible and supporting one another in that journey.
Yeah.
I think the flip side of it, though, that's equally interesting is there are also so many women, especially I think because a lot of our women are from marginalized communities who have been told for their entire lives their stories aren't interesting. They don't get to speak for themselves. So people speak for them and about them, but they don't get the spotlight to tell their story. And so after decades of being told no one wants to hear what you have to say, they have shut themselves down from expressing themselves. So when Nancy and I started to put together this anthology book, Awakening Your Power, last year, we started to reach out to the kind of core women in our community about the book. And they were like, I don't really have a story that's interesting. And it was
Wow.
like, you were an auto mechanic in the army and you stood up to your superior officer when you were, a early 20s and you were fighting for the people that you were working with to protect them. Like, that's an amazing story.
Yeah.
And so I think there are so many women out there, and again, especially women who have been marginalized, who really think that their story either doesn't matter, isn't interesting, or that no one will connect to it. And we put out this book that is the most diverse group of women, and everybody is falling in love with each and every one of them. And they found common threads within their own experiences. And now that it's out to a bigger audience, people are responding to the fact that, like, yeah, I wasn't in the army, but I've stood up to superiors.
Yes, when it wasn't popular or wasn't traditionally supported or maybe not even legal at that point, as we're learning
Right.
that a lot of times we didn't even have the legal opportunity to divorce if we didn't want to,
Right.
or have a mortgage or have a place to live on our own.
Credit card, like, it's been so recent,
Yes.
you know?
Yeah. I think people are surprised by some of the things they hear because we take for granted that, in 2025 that we just have credit cards. I'll just get my own card. I'll get my own
Yeah.
lease or whatever the case may be.
Mm.
We don't realize that 30 years ago, that was impossible, right? That was not something we could have done on our own.
Yeah.
It's fascinating. It's fascinating. And I think the big thing about storytelling, and I think you guys do it well, and that's why I wanted to do this interview today, is you are dead on. When it comes to storytelling, everyone thinks that they need to hear the burning building story, right? Like, I was the person that single-handedly rescued, 300 people from a burning building or whatever the case may be. But the truth of the matter is the stories that are the most impactful are the ones we can most relate to.
Right. Yeah, we have several stories in the anthology book about women leaving a marriage. And, you know, over 50% of the population can relate to that, right? I mean, divorce happens every day, and the circumstances are different, and the circumstances are interesting and maybe unusual, but everyone can relate to that, and I think that's the thing. It's the whole theme of the book is awakening your power. It's the moment you stepped into your power, and we all have that moment, even if it's a really tiny thing. We all have that moment where we realize, no, you can't control me. I am my own person. I have worth.
Yeah. Do you guys remember? Like, I'm just coming into this moment in the last 5 years. I will tell you wholeheartedly, I was like, it was always about performance and this and type A and all these things. And since having children later on, maybe that was the catalyst. I don't know. But I would say right around 38, all of a sudden, I was like, this is not me. This is who everybody has wanted me to be. This is the opportunities I was given. These are situations where I made the most of my resources.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of it was inauthentic to what I was really thinking, feeling, and saying.
Yeah.
Was there a moment for you too? You're like, so many.
I think it was a slow roll for us. I think it was a gradual thing. I don't really have a moment. I can name moments throughout my life where I stepped into my power and said, "No, you can't do that to me." I read something recently about bullying, or I guess we were talking to someone about it. I was in high school in the late 70s. I was a punk rocker.
Get it, Nancy. Okay, go ahead.
I had the spiked hair and the crazy clothes and the whole deal. But I was a punk rocker in suburban Boston, Massachusetts in the 70s.
No,
So
it's hard.
it was
No,
me
that's
and
hard.
three other kids in a school of 2,500. So I was bullied all the time. It was horrible, and I did not enjoy the bullying, but I also feel like I wasn't really greatly impacted by it. And it wasn't until recently when we were talking to someone that they pointed out that you're only bullied if it impacts you, and if you have a good level of self-esteem and self-worth,
yeah,
then the bullying doesn't bother you. And I never realized it. I never made the connection until that conversation that yes, our parents instilled self-worth in all of us, and
yes.
so when kids made fun of me at school, I was like, yeah, whatever, that's your problem,
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's interesting. I lost my point, but
No, I think you have a really dynamic point in the fact that what we're calling bullying or what we're establishing as bullying, it looks and feels different for everybody, right? Uh, by virtue of being a hormonally, whatever, teenager, right? It can all feel different, and it's on, from different mental health spectrums. But I think what you just said, the foundation, the fact that your parents were like, hey, guess what? This is who you are, right? Just be who you are, be unapologetic, makes all the difference. Because if you have that strong, supported home to say, hey, I got you another can of Aquanet, whatever it is, right? If you have that support structure, and I think I can say to myself, I probably held back a lot of who I was early growing up because, it was about the preppy exterior, but it's more about, can I go home and can I be myself at home? Can I be right? How can I represent there? Yeah.
Yeah,
Same for
we
you.
always had a safe place to land.
yeah,
That's huge. That's huge.
It's why we built the sisterhood when it was time to build the community. It was like we worked with the branding coach, and she was like, "What makes you guys different? What are your core
People
words?"
feel safe. People feel seen.
Kept coming around to sisterhood because I've never felt alone a day in my life because I've had Nancy and I've had my other siblings. And I know that's a luxury. I know that there are so many people that don't feel that way. And that's what we wanted to give to everybody else, that feeling like there's a safe place where you can come. I know the internet is crazy and social media can be harsh and you can be bullied and it's hard to find a place where you feel accepted. So when we built our community, it was really important to us that people feel like they're coming into our home where our mother and father welcomed everybody of every race and creed and sexual orientation and the
What a
economic
legacy.
strata.
Yeah.
And that's what we wanted to create, was a place where it was like, we love you because you are different. We love you because you might go somewhere else and people might think you don't fit here. We
Mhm.
we want you to feel
I
that
think
good.
we all want that, right? That's
Yeah.
something that we all strive for. Thank you for creating that, by the way. That's huge. This is a huge opportunity, right? That we need to build community. Amy, you said it perfectly. And I mean in the way that sometimes we mistake the internet for a community, right? It's the exact opposite of a community when you think about it, right? Maybe it's a club sometimes, but it is not a community. Like a club is, by my definition, somebody who it's a group of people who think that they're sort of righteous in one context or different in a context, and they sort of position themselves against other clubs, right?
Right.
Mhm.
A community is the opposite. A community is where you can have a different perspective. You're not better, you're not worse, you're just different.
Yeah,
Is that fair?
Very good.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think another thing that sets our community apart is that along a similar vein, we're not a, a community or a club or a membership where it's based on one person at the top of a triangle.
Uh-huh.
It's not, we're not inviting people to come and, get, we're going to impart wisdom to them. We truly built this as a place where
Yeah.
women learn from each other.
Yes. So it's
And
it's a collective of wisdom, right?
it is. And so the Power Passionistas in our community teach the workshops and create the content for Passionistas TV. And it's really a beautiful space of sharing and learning from each other.
What's the content that you guys are really focused on now? Like, so when you're creating these different workshops, or I know you've got this great book coming out too, which I'm really excited about. What could people expect from joining the community? Like, what are they seeing? Who are they hearing from?
Well, there's a lot, and it's
I
kind of
bet you're
amazing.
going to
People
find
are
somebody.
like,
Yeah, I was gonna say you
"There's
match
so
with. Yep.
much." On its very basic level, there's connection. So we have spaces where people can post. It almost looks like Facebook, although it's not. It's on a platform called Circles. So if you come
Circle.
to it, it will look very familiar, but
Okay.
you won't be seeing pictures of people's cats and
Maybe. Yes.
unless
Occasionally.
we do have our mascot Potato, who is Dr. Melissa Bird's little bulldog, French bulldog.
Some
Adorable.
good
A
choice.
potato pops up every once in a while. But basically, there are spaces where women can connect. They can share about their businesses. They can share if they're having a bad day. They can just talk about whatever's going on in their lives and in the world around them. And then we have a calendar. So we promote our events, but women can promote their own events. They can say, I'm having
Okay.
a workshop. And a lot of them are virtual, but a lot of them are in person too. So if, we're finding Passionistas meeting each other across different parts of the world because they're
Yeah.
a global community. So there's spaces like that everybody can access. And then we have workshops, again, on all the topics. So we've had workshops on starting a podcast or finances for your business if you're, starting a business. But we also do things like tapping workshops,
Thematic.
meditation
Yeah.
workshops.
Yeah.
We also just have social impact workshops. So we talk about things like race. So, the woman that we worked with did a podcast about Hattie McDaniel, who was in Gone with the Wind.
Oh,
And she did this amazing podcast series about Hattie's life because she was very misunderstood, but also looking at the world now through the perspective, the lens of Hattie's experiences. So we have all kinds of content like that. There's workshops, there's meetups right after this today. We have our free meetup where everybody can come and they can connect and just hang out. It's very casual.
Yeah.
But we also have podcast meetups where people who have podcasts or people who want to be guests on podcasts can come and make connections and get on each other's shows and support each other.
Amazing.
We have a regular Get, Give, Grow party every month where people can come. They can present a challenge they're having, and everybody that's there gives feedback or advice. So you're leaning on each other. We have Passionistas TV, which is our online women's empowerment streaming service that has self-produced shows from our Power Passionistas that come out. Some are weekly, some are monthly. We have a podcast network that's all women podcasts.
Awesome.
And one of the bigger things that we're really focusing on for the holidays is our shopping directory. So we have anything you can buy on Amazon, you can buy from a woman-owned business.
Amazing. Okay. I was like, I'm in now. Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. So we have a shopping directory where we are building a microeconomy of women buying from women.
Yes.
And we have everything from candles and, eyebrow makeup to services like coaching, books and food and beverages and jewelry and clothing. And so you can go there, you can do all your holiday shopping from a Passionista, support a woman-owned business, and often a, BIPOC or LGBTQ plus business. There are a lot of women in there from different communities that if you go to Amazon and you buy something, you don't really know who you're supporting. It's convenient. We all love the convenience of it, but here you're actually knowing you're helping a woman grow her business. So those are kind of the big things. And then we
just
have
a few couple things. Yeah.
Things we have
reinventing TV and what? Okay.
Yeah. Not surprising. We're never at a lack of ideas.
Yeah. No. And then we have our, like you said, our anthology book that's coming out in hardcover version on November 11th. And then we're signing women up for the next edition, which will come out in 2026.
Amazing. That's amazing. And you did say that there is like in-person once a year summit sort of situations. When does that usually happen? Or do we actually have a date?
It's usually in late summer, early fall. It is not in person. It is Zoom. Because we are a global community. We actually toyed with the idea of making it in person a few years ago, and it just got so daunting and overwhelming. And we realized it's not going to be what it should be because, can women from Australia really fly in for the weekend? And, we have a few women and we have a bunch of women in Canada. We have women in Europe and in Africa, so we don't want to limit it to just people who can get to LA. So, but it is in the fall and we will be doing one in 2026. Last year and next year it'd be the same. It was the women who were in the book.
Yes.
Were actually the women on the panels in the summit. So,
fantastic.
Yeah.
And then big in person in 2027. We are determined to do an in-person event.
Yes. Okay.
Retreat/summit in Italy. That's the goal.
That's the goal. That's the dream. We're putting it out there.
I love it. Put that in there. You guys are incredible. And I'm so glad we got to share your story today. You're big thinkers. I'm sure your parents are just so moved at the legacy they created and what you're doing with your legacy and so forth. If somebody isn't sure they have a story to tell or whatever it is, what sort of advice can you give them?
Everyone has a story to tell. Everyone does. And it doesn't, like we said earlier, it doesn't have to be the big moments. It doesn't have to be jumping out of a plane or, it could just be saying no. It could just be saying, you know what? I'm an introvert. I don't want to go to that party. Bam. How good does that make you feel to just say it?
It does. And you need to hear that.
And I think everyone has a story. And anyone who's hearing this and doesn't think they have a story, schedule a call with us, get on the phone with us, talk it through. We'll find your story. You have one.
There's community everywhere, right? And you guys are illustrating that perfectly, that maybe there's a lot of folks in your neighborhood that you don't connect with or at your job or, whatever the case may be. There is community out there. not clubs. We're not gatekeeping. This is a community, right?
Yeah.
So that's huge. Thank you so much for talking with me, being on the podcast. This is huge. I think everyone needs this encouragement to know that they're not alone. Their story matters. And you guys are illustrating that perfectly and taking all your expertise to give people those voices. Thank you for joining the podcast, Super Sisters. Maybe we get other sister in here too. Who knows? Next time. If you know somebody who would benefit from this episode, please share and also subscribe because we want to keep you in the conversation. Amy, Nancy, thanks so much for joining me today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So much fun.